It's week 10 of my training for Ironman Wisconsin. I'm about to race in my first ever triathlon, a half Ironman distance event here in Madison. I'm still learning new things every week, and I'm finding a lot of joy in the focus that this goal has brought to my summer activities. Here are some of the highlights from the last 4 weeks of training.
What did you learn from reading the rulebook?
2 weeks ago, around week 10-ish of training, or 9, I got around to reading the official Ironman rulebook. The most egregious thing that I learned is the rule for drafting on the bike. The drafting zone is considered 12 meters behind the bike in front of you, which is 6 bike lengths approximately, but that's not something I can picture, like how many bikes are between me and that person. But what I can picture is half of a length of a standard swimming pool, and that is a fixed point that I can imagine. So that's what I will be trying to do, is stay at least one half of one swimming pool behind the rider in front of me. But here's where it gets so much more complicated. If you accidentally creep into their draft zone, you can't just be like, oops, I'm backing off now. That is a no-no. If you creep into the draft zone, you have to pass that person, and you have 25 seconds to do it, and otherwise you can get a 5-minute penalty. And on top of that, if you're the person who's being passed, you also have to get out of the draft zone within 25 seconds. And if you feel personally insulted by the person who passed you, and you think, I shouldn't be passed by that person, you have to wait until they're a half a swimming pool ahead of you, and then you can try to overtake them and pass them again. How am I supposed to keep track of all this stuff when I'm absolutely exhausted? If you do get flagged for one of these penalties, you have to serve the penalty, the 5-minute penalty, in a little timeout tent, and you are not allowed to get snacks. It's not like it's an aid station, but if you have water and food on your person, you can consume them during this penalty. But you can't use the bathroom. Or, to be clear, you cannot go to a bathroom facility. But who's to stop you from doing what you gotta do in this little timeout tent? So, some interesting rules there. 2 other rules that stood out to me were multiple times throughout the rule book. For each of the sports, they emphasized that there will be absolutely no nudity. But they did not define what nudity is and whether it's different for your genital parts that you happen to have. Which is interesting, possibly an oversight. But this has prompted me to buy a new bra, because previously I did not think that I would be able to complete the whole event in one bra with the bras that I owned, because the bras that are best for running were not the bras that are best for biking. But I have attempted to remedy that. And let's see, the other thing that they specified in the rulebook that I thought was entertaining was that during the run event, you may run, walk, or crawl. And now I'm kind of feeling like, to have the full experience, I should probably do all 3. But also, it raises the question, since they've been so specific about what I can and cannot do in the other sports, what is the official stance on rolling and also dancing? It's unclear in the rulebook, so we'll see what happens.
Of course, you as a writer would find all of these oversights in the rulebook. Any injuries from the last round of training?
I've been pretty lucky, I would say, because every time that you bike on the roads, you are running a significant risk. But there have been a few. It's not so visible anymore, but I am still somewhat healing from a gouge from the chain ring.
Nice.
It was a fall that was about to happen, and I saved the fall by doing some kind of crazy maneuvers, and my leg right into the chain ring and really gouged it out. And let's see, the other injury just happened today, 2 days before Milkman. it's not so much of an injury, it's just like really annoying and something that I'm gonna have to try to prevent in the future. But I went swimming this morning in Lake Monona, and I wore a wetsuit, and it chafed so badly on my neck.
You can kind of see it.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's gonna heal in 2 days, so I might be starting the race with a very sore patch of skin in a very tender and important place. But other than that, yeah, doing pretty good.
Any moments from the last round of training that you're especially proud of?
From the last round of training, I am pretty proud of the runs and rides that I've fit in while we were camping or traveling. Times when I definitely had to make a special effort with the planning and the packing, but that also just gave me opportunities to explore, have some new experiences. So we camped out in Spring Green for Memorial Day weekend, and the day that I had scheduled my run was really rainy, really dreary. It was about 55 degrees, but with the rain, before I changed into my running clothes, it felt so much colder than that. And I went to Governor Dodge State Park, and there was just nobody in the park, or anybody that was there was packing up and leaving, and we're driving in, and I'm going to do a 12-mile run. And I was really proud of myself for going through with that. And then this past weekend, we had a trip back to the East Coast to see Nicole's family, and I ran 3 times, and each time I was able to find a really beautiful place to run, mostly on the shoreline, but also in a beautiful park in inland in a county park. And yeah, it's always fun when a goal like this requires a little creativity, a little planning ahead, but it ends up being very rewarding.
Did you acquire any new gear?
I have acquired more gear. I have a feeling that this will be, the answer to that question will be a yes for every single video, because there is always more gear, or the gear you have turns out to be not as good, or there's a problem, or it chafes the crap out of your neck. Well, speaking of that, I got a wetsuit. And actually I think it's a really good wetsuit, and I think I maybe just keep putting it on wrong, and there's something I'm not doing with the fastening at the top. That's my hope anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But in addition to a wetsuit, I got a tow float for open water swimming to be visible and safe. I got a new sports bra, which I think I already mentioned. I got the Lululemon Run Times bra because it was recommended by Kelly Roberts. She's a big Instagram, she's a big running coach, and she reviews sports bras all the time. And this is one of the few bras that makes the cut for her. And it is an H-back bra. And I'm just taking this time to include this in the video because they're very hard to find. And if you're somebody like me whose shoulders hurt in a sports bra if you wear it for more than an hour or two, an H-back bra doesn't do the racer back thing. It just, the straps just go straight up and down. I'm hopeful that that is one piece of gear I can wear for the swim, the bike, and the run, so that we can avoid the nudity penalty, which is disqualification, by the way. It's a very
I was gonna
ask. It's not.
How many minutes is that? Okay.
They throw you right out, so we don't want to mess with that.
So they didn't define like it's okay for a man to bare his chest versus a woman,
it's not okay
or
for
like
anybody. The men have to wear a shirt during the bike ride. Like, everyone has to wear a shirt, but it does specify that a sports bra is a shirt. Is there any other gear that I may have forgotten?
New bike shorts.
Oh yeah, I'm excited about these bike shorts. The brand is Terry, and they were listed as being like really touring shorts. I think it was bike touring, and that sounded like the kind of shorts you need for 112 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, I've ridden them a couple times. Probably the longest ride I've done with them is 35 miles, but they were really nice. And I was sore going into that ride from other rides, and they treated me well.
How are you feeling about Milkman this weekend?
I feel very ready for all the distances on their own. That's 1.2 mile swim, 56 mile bike ride, which until I read the Milkman website again recently, I had been doing the math very poorly, dividing 112, and I had gotten 66, and I was
wrong.
It was just flat wrong there. So it was quite a relief to realize that Milkman is only 56 miles, because I have already done that recently, a couple well, once this season. And so anyway, I'm feeling prepared for 56 miles and then a 13.1 mile run. The question, of course, will be how they all come together, doing them back to back. But I'm excited to see how my paces end up comparing from training to a race situation with no traffic stopping and just some of that adrenaline and the support on the course and stuff like that. But then there's also like the impact of swimming with a whole bunch of other people and potentially getting kicked in the face and panicking and all these factors that can come into play. I'm very curious to see how that all translates, and I think I'll have a much better sense of where I'm at and what I should focus on for the second half of my training. Wow, what? You can actually float! How are these allowed?